Hello, everybody. Today is the last day, the last Monday of the month of May, and it is the Memorial Day. A day we're supposed to remember and honor the people who died for our freedom. I'm thinking we don't have any person in that category in our immediate family. Brothers, sisters, uncles, that we don't have anybody. But I do remember two people. One of mine is Jim, I think was his name, Marina's friend from high school in St. John's in Belgium. From what Marina was telling me, he wanted to fight. That's what he's always wanted to do. And I understand eventually he ended up in Afghanistan, and he died there. And another person was from another village near ours in that city, and he was about 3 years older than me. And you know, in Greece, when you become 18 years old, the day your birthday, you have to go and say, "Here I am to serve my country." And you had to use those words. Well, anyway, there was a time in the 50s that it was the Korean War. And that war was fought by United Nations. And Greece was part of the United Nations, and they would send soldiers over there. Well, this young man, he was older than me. The day he became 18 years old, he went and said, "Here I am. I'm 18. I'm going to serve my country." They took him. 2 weeks later, he was sent somehow. I don't know how. But anyway, a month later, there was a notice come back that he was killed in Korea. That kind of affected me a little bit, but I was glad it wasn't me. The other thing, when we were in Belgium, we visited the American cemeteries. There's a big one in Luxembourg. And when you go through there and see the crosses and the Star of Davids all lined up, and you read the names, there's one place I remember. There are two brothers next to each other, and they got killed the last years of the war, Christmas Day. Both of them, same place. That's when, and then in Limnos, there's a British from World War One military, and you go over there and you read some signs. "We love you forever. We'll never forget you." Stuff like that. It really touches you. 19 years old, somebody from Australia, another one from India. So anyway, that's the time I say, somebody has to invent a vaccine. We have vaccines to protect us against polio and all these other terrible diseases, but the diseases that bring wars, we don't have a vaccine. I think somebody ought to find a vaccine to protect the human beings against jealousy, against religion, fanaticism, against human supremacy, and all the other diseases which bring people to wars to kill each other. And sometimes I'm wondering if it was a woman. The women ruled the world. They were in the military, were in the government, and the men were like the women used to be. Would there be wars? I don't know. I think there will be wars because the jealousy is there. You gotta kill the jealousy. Anyway, I will tell you something about my involvement, my thing about the military. Well, in Greece, as I said, when we became 18 years old, that your birthday you had to go and say you serve the country. We left Greece to come to America in April, and I was going to be 18 on June 11th that year. Well, we left, and after we came here in the States, of course, they were looking for me. They came looking for me. They sent letters back and forth, and eventually a letter came to me in here in America, in the Bronx, and declared me as allodapo, which means Dutch drafter. So I did nothing, I threw it away. A year later is another one come in. I did the same thing. So it was 30 years before I decided that I wanted to go back to Greece with my family. I was very scared because the story was, when you get there, I should come down the airplane to pick you up and put you in the army. But anyway, I was close to 45. I can't remember how old I was, but it was pretty old. So I called the embassy in Brussels, the Greek embassy in Brussels, and I would tell them my story. What would happen to me if I get there? And they said, "Gabriel says, you're too old. What am I going to do for you?" He says, "Would you feed you over there?" He says, "We don't want you anymore. You're too old." I was glad. I know other people, like my friend Nico. He came here, he went to the American Army, and then one time he wanted something from the embassy in New York, went in there and asked him, "Did you go to the Greek army?" He says, "No, I want the American army." They grabbed him, and he says, "You have to pay a fine." And the fine at that time, it was something like $300 or $400, which would be equivalent to now maybe $2,000. He said, "I don't have it." He says, "Well, how much you got?" "Yeah, $29. They took the $29. I says, "Okay, you can go out." Now my second cousin, went to Greece, and then as he was walking up on the plane, on the steps, they pulled him back. He says, "You went to the army?" "No, I haven't been to the army." They took him off, put him in a confinement for a while, but he had to pay the $300 to be able to get back. Now, for the American Army, when I became 18 over here, I had to go register with the office. I can't remember what it was. And they give you a card, and it has a number on it. And at that time, I'm talking in the late 50s and 60s, the army was not voluntary. They would take you in. So, but because I was a student, I was able to get a student deferment, which means when I finished my studies, then I had to go into the army, or I was eligible for the army. So that when I finished my schooling, the university, it was in June. And of course, I lost my deferment because I don't was a student anymore. But I was hired by Boeing in Seattle. And at that time, I went to work for the Dinosaur Project and then the Minutemen. and they process a deferment because of the critical skills that I had, engineering. But in the meantime, by the time they processed my thing, they called me to go past the doctors. We had to go through the doctor examination to see if you're fit to serve. Anyway, I passed the doctor's thing, and but then in about 2 weeks, my deferment came in, and that kept me going. Then when I quit Boeing, my deferment was nulled again. But I went to work for Pratt Whitney, and they processed a deferment for me, and that's how I passed my military non-service years. Sometimes I think back, maybe that was a mistake, but I feel very lucky for that, because when I was passing the doctors in Seattle, the guy told us, he says, "You see your neighbor, you, three of us. He says, one of you won't come back. Somehow you're going to, because it was the Vietnam War going on. He says, one of you is going to go to Vietnam and it's not going to come back." That was scary. Anyway, that's the story. I hope you have a good holiday, even though down here it's raining, and it's raining, and it's raining. All right, bye-bye, everybody.